What if I told you there's an ancient book, long hidden and overlooked, that claims to reveal lost details about the lives of the Bible's most famous heroes? A book that expands on stories of giants, fierce battles, divine encounters, and the hidden motives of figures like Abraham, Jacob, and Moses. This is the Book of Jasher, a mysterious text mentioned in the Bible itself, but shrouded in obscurity for most readers today. The Book of Jasher doesn't just tell us the story, it gives us a more complete picture of the lives of those chosen by God. Imagine reading about Abraham's struggles against idolatry, where he stands alone in defying the gods worshipped by his own family. Or picture Moses, not just as a leader, but as a fierce warrior defending his people and confronting Egyptian sorcerers. Jasher offers a window into their lives, revealing how each was shaped by intense spiritual challenges and calling us to see their humanity in a new light. But here's the real question: if the Book of Jasher provides such detailed insights into events we thought we knew, why isn't it included in the Bible? Was it considered too controversial, too revealing, or perhaps too powerful? Could it be that this ancient text shows the human flaws and struggles of our heroes in a way that might challenge conventional faith? Or maybe it simply offers another perspective on the same divine stories we know. Today we're exploring the Book of Jasher to uncover these mysteries, examining the lives of biblical giants in greater detail, and discovering what this hidden text can teach us about faith, courage, and destiny. The Book of Jasher, often referred to as the Upright Book or the Book of the Just, holds a unique and enigmatic place in the landscape of ancient biblical literature. Though it's mentioned alongside other sacred texts, its journey through history is cloaked in mystery. Unlike the books of the Bible, which were preserved through well-documented traditions, Jasher was marginalized and largely lost, leading to centuries of obscurity. But what exactly is this book, and why has it remained so elusive? The Book of Jasher is first referenced in Joshua 10:13, in the miraculous story of the day the sun stood still when God intervened to give Israel victory over the Amorites. Later in 2 Samuel 1:18, David's elegy for Saul and Jonathan once again mentions Jasher, as if drawing from its poetic tradition to emphasize the gravity of the moment. Yet beyond these mentions, we find little direct information in canonical texts, leaving many questions unanswered. Was it a historical chronicle, a collection of hero tales, or a poetic archive of Israel's greatest figures? These answers have been lost to time, leaving behind only fragments of speculation and theory. Despite its absence from the Hebrew Bible, Jasher fascinated many Jewish and Christian scholars. Some believe it may have started as a collection of oral histories, stories preserved and passed down over generations to keep the memory of Israel's heroes alive and record divine acts for the future. In ancient cultures, such storytelling wasn't merely entertainment, it was foundational in preserving identity, transmitting values, and educating each new generation. The Book of Jasher, in this sense, may have served as a treasured reminder of Israel's origins and purpose, with stories meant to inspire courage and faithfulness to God's laws. However, as history moved forward, physical copies of the book were lost amidst invasions, exiles, and changes in cultural priorities. Some early church fathers mentioned Jasher with respect but noted that it was not included in the formalized scriptural canon. By the time the Council of Carthage 397 AD confirmed the list of books that would form the Old and New Testaments, Jasher had faded into the background, shifting from an accepted text to an apocryphal relic. In the medieval period, the Book of Jasher gained a new reputation, becoming shrouded in mystery and rumored to contain hidden knowledge. This perception only intensified when, in the 17th century, a manuscript surfaced in Venice claiming to be the authentic Book of Jasher. Though many scholars were skeptical, others believed it preserved ancient stories passed down through secret channels. Upon further investigation, it appeared that this version was an amalgamation of earlier Jewish and Midrashic traditions rather than an ancient text itself. Yet the discovery sparked renewed interest, leading to various translations, including an English version in 1840 by Mordecai Manuel Noah, who played a key role in bringing awareness to this remarkable book. So what exactly is found in this rediscovered version of the Book of Jasher? This text provides an expansive view of biblical events, often retelling and intensifying familiar stories. It includes intricate descriptions of Abraham's early rejection of idolatry, his intellectual debates with family members, and even his confrontation with Nimrod, the powerful ruler who sought to destroy him. Jasher delves into the life of young Joseph, detailing his journey from favored son to a man of great influence in Egypt. Moses also appears in Jasher not just as a leader, but as a military commander with accounts of battle and supernatural assistance. These stories, interwoven with familiar accounts from Genesis and Exodus, offer insights into the emotional and spiritual trials of these towering figures. Why, then, was this book set aside? Why were stories so rich in detail and depth excluded from the Bible? Could it be that the Book of Jasher shows our heroes in ways that challenge traditional beliefs, making them appear more human, relatable, and complex? Or perhaps it simply offers a fuller picture, one that captures their humanity and the intense struggles that shape them without diminishing their divinity. By exploring the Book of Jasher, we open a door to see these biblical figures anew, to understand the depth of their courage and the trials they faced in a world filled with danger and mystery. As we explore this ancient text, we are invited to see the lives of these heroes not just as stories from a distant past, but as examples that inspire us today, filled with lessons about resilience, devotion, and the path of faith. Culturally, the Book of Jasher highlights the ancient values of loyalty, bravery, and reverence for God's sovereignty. Each story underscores a central theme: the importance of obedience to God, the destructive nature of arrogance, and the belief that divine intervention shapes history. These values are timeless, yet they resonate powerfully in Jasher's unique way. While the canonical Bible emphasizes brevity and focus, the Book of Jasher often expands, detailing battles, inner struggles, and moments of choice that reveal the humanity of each character. By adding depth to these figures, the Book of Jasher encourages readers to see the heroes of faith not as distant legends, but as relatable individuals grappling with faith and fear, loyalty and doubt. So why, then, is this book not included in the Bible despite its clear focus on godly values and its mention within Scripture? Some scholars argue that the Book of Jasher contains elements that diverge from the main biblical themes, portraying exaggerated or embellished events that feel more akin to folklore than divine revelation. Others suggest that its absence is simply a result of history, that as Israel underwent centuries of upheaval, certain texts were preserved while others were lost. Regardless of its exclusion, the Book of Jasher has had a lasting impact, influencing readers and inspiring debate across generations. Today, it remains a fascinating supplement to the canonical Bible, adding layers to well-loved stories and inviting us to explore the emotions, ambitions, and challenges that shape the lives of faith's greatest heroes. Now, as we journey deeper into the stories within the Book of Jasher, we encounter figures who become more complex, with motivations, struggles, and dreams that reveal the timeless nature of their experiences. We see them face trials that demand courage, faith, and sacrifice, just as we are called to do in our own lives. Their stories remind us that the journey of faith is not always straightforward. It is filled with choices that define us, battles that test us, and victories that show us God's hand in our lives. One of the most extraordinary stories in the Book of Jasher is the early life of Abraham, highlighting a young man born into a world steeped in idolatry and corruption. According to Jasher, Abraham's father, Terah, was an influential idol maker in the city of Ur, serving the king Nimrod. But even as a child, Abraham sensed a different calling. Jasher 11.16 describes Abraham questioning his father, saying, "Why do you worship these lifeless idols who can neither see nor hear, instead of the God who created the heavens and the earth?" This defiance set Abraham apart, and the narrative quickly escalates as Abraham smashes his father's idols, an act that becomes an open declaration of his belief in the one true God. But this bold act comes at a cost. According to Jasher, Nimrod hears of Abraham's rebellion and issues a decree to have him killed. Terah, fearing for his son's life, hides Abraham, allowing him to grow up in secrecy. Jasher's portrayal of Abraham presents him as a fearless challenger of established beliefs, a man willing to risk everything for the truth he knows in his heart. This early courage foreshadows the unwavering faith Abraham would demonstrate throughout his life. The Book of Jasher teaches us through Abraham that faith often requires a stand against the culture around us. It illustrates how a single act of defiance can set a person on a path to becoming a monumental figure in God's plan. Abraham's story in Jasher is one of courage in the face of danger, echoing the timeless truth that God sometimes calls us to confront the idols of our time, no matter the cost. The Book of Jasher also expands on the story of Joseph, adding layers of drama and emotion to his journey from favored son to powerful ruler. In Jasher's version, we see Joseph's brothers grapple deeply with jealousy and resentment. Jasher describes how they conspired to kill Joseph, but ultimately decided to sell him into slavery, a betrayal driven by complex emotions that include both hatred and self-preservation. Jasher 4129 recounts their internal struggle, showing that this act weighed heavily on them even before they carried it out. Shall we kill our brother, the beloved of our father? Will his blood not haunt us forever? Once sold into slavery, Joseph's story becomes a testament to resilience and faithfulness under extreme adversity. In Jasher, his trials in Egypt are detailed with intensity, illustrating how he faces humiliation, temptation, and imprisonment. Yet, Joseph clings to his faith, refusing to betray God even when he is at his lowest. Jasher 4414 records Joseph's inner resolve during his captivity. "I will not sin against my God, for his eyes are upon me, and his ears hear my voice in the darkness." Through Joseph, the Book of Jasher teaches us the power of resilience. Even when betrayed by those closest to him, Joseph keeps his integrity intact, demonstrating that faithfulness to God transcends circumstances. When Joseph finally rises to power and is reconciled with his brothers, we see the profound theme of redemption. Jasher's expanded portrayal emphasizes that no betrayal, pain, or injustice can derail God's plan. Through Joseph, Jasher reveals a lesson on forgiveness as he chooses to welcome his brothers, despite the pain they caused him, showing that reconciliation is possible even in the darkest of situations. The Book of Jasher's portrayal of Moses gives us a much more vivid picture of his early years in Egypt, revealing him as a man of strength, courage, and divine favor even before his encounter with God at the burning bush. Jasher recounts how Moses, raised in the household of Pharaoh, became a respected leader and even a military commander, renowned for his bravery. In Jasher 6711, we read of Moses leading Egyptian forces against their enemies, earning both admiration and envy within Pharaoh's court. But Jasher also describes Moses' inner turmoil as he witnesses the suffering of the Hebrew people. When Moses learns of his true heritage, he becomes an ally for the Israelites, which eventually leads him to confront Pharaoh. Jasher emphasizes that Moses didn't merely request freedom for his people, he waged a spiritual and physical battle against Egypt's most powerful leaders and sorcerers who sought to undermine his authority. Jasher 7936 highlights this confrontation, where Moses faces Egyptian sorcerers, proving that his power comes from a higher source. The magicians could not stand against Moses, for the might of God was with him. The Book of Jasher expands on the plagues of Egypt, detailing how Moses and Aaron challenged Pharaoh and his court with miracles that revealed God's supremacy over Egyptian deities and sorcery. This portrayal of Moses as both warrior and prophet gives us a fuller picture of his leadership and the courage required to confront an empire. Jasher's account of Moses teaches that when God appoints someone, he empowers them with everything they need to fulfill their mission. Moses' story in Jasher is a reminder of the fierce protection God offers to his people and the lengths he will go to secure their freedom. Through these expanded stories, the Book of Jasher illustrates key spiritual themes that resonate throughout the Bible. The first is faith. From Abraham's defiance of idolatry to Joseph's resilience and Moses' boldness, each character is defined by a profound trust in God that defies human logic. Jasher's narratives show that faith is not a passive belief but an active, sometimes dangerous choice to stand with God, even when the world stands against you. The second theme is divine justice. Jasher's stories consistently show that no matter the delay, God's justice will prevail. Abraham is saved from Nimrod's wrath, Joseph is vindicated and elevated, and Moses witnesses the fall of Pharaoh, the oppressor. Jasher's tales underscore the belief that God's justice may not always be immediate, but is inevitable. Finally, Jasher presents the idea of transformation. Each of these figures undergoes profound internal growth, shaped by their trials and their choices. They begin as young men facing daunting odds, and through their experiences they become instruments of God's will. Jasher teaches us that true greatness in God's kingdom is often born from suffering, struggle, and the willingness to trust God's greater purpose. One of the most powerful instances of angelic intervention in the Book of Jasher occurs in the life of Abraham. As a young man, Abraham's defiance of idolatry puts his life at risk when King Nimrod, enraged by his refusal to worship idols, seeks to kill him. According to Jasher, it is an angel who appears to Abraham, comforting him and preparing him for the trials ahead. In Jasher 830 we read, "And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him and said, Fear not, for the Lord is with you." This reassurance strengthens Abraham's resolve, allowing him to withstand the intense opposition he faces. Later, as Abraham begins his journey of faith, angels continue to appear to him, reinforcing God's covenant and guiding him toward his divine purpose. When Abraham and his wife Sarah are promised a son despite their old age, it is an angel who delivers this message, confirming God's miraculous plan for them. The presence of angels in Abraham's life highlights the intimate relationship between God and his chosen servant, showing that even when human help fails, divine assistance is never far away. Through Abraham's story, Jasher teaches that those who walk in faith are never truly alone. God sends his messengers to guide, protect, and strengthen them. Angels serve as an extension of God's care, ensuring that the faithful receive encouragement and direction during times of uncertainty and fear. One of the most intense and dramatic moments in Jasher is the binding of Isaac, a test of Abraham's loyalty and faith in God. In this version of the story, the spiritual stakes are heightened as an angel intervenes in a dramatic way. Jasher's account elaborates on the inner turmoil that both Abraham and Isaac experienced during this test. As Abraham prepares to offer his son, Isaac, we are told that he is deeply grieved but willing to obey, trusting in God's goodness even when he doesn't understand. As Abraham raises the knife, it is an angel who physically stops him, calling out his name with urgency. In Jasher 23:73, the angel's voice echoes, "Abraham, Abraham, lay not your hand upon the lad, for now I know that you fear God." This moment captures the powerful intervention of God through his messenger, underscoring that God values obedience but does not delight in human suffering. The angel's intervention reveals God's merciful nature and confirms his covenant with Abraham, showing that while faith may be tested, God's purpose is always redemptive. Jasher's portrayal of this event not only emphasizes the role of angels as God's messengers, but also reinforces the idea that divine intervention often occurs at the brink of despair. This story serves as a reminder that when we surrender fully to God's will, we open ourselves to divine deliverance, even if it arrives in ways we could never predict. In the Book of Jasher, Jacob's life is filled with divine encounters and angelic visions that shape his journey. One of the most famous of these is Jacob's dream of the ladder, where he sees angels ascending and descending between heaven and earth. Jasher elaborates on this vision, presenting it as a symbolic moment that reveals Jacob's spiritual destiny and the divine protection that will accompany him. In Jasher 33, the text describes, "And behold, a ladder set upon the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven, and angels of God ascending and descending on it." This vision, where angels bridge the gap between heaven and earth, serves as a powerful reminder of the connection between God and his people. Jasher's account suggests that the angels are not only messengers but guardians, traveling between realms to carry out God's will and protect those he has chosen. The ladder itself represents a pathway of divine communication, affirming God's covenant with Jacob and assuring him that he is under divine care as he journeys forward. Jacob's vision is more than a mystical experience, it is a promise. The Book of Jasher teaches through this encounter that God establishes a direct line of protection and communication with those he calls. This divine connection means that even during times of exile, struggle, or danger, Jacob, and by extension the people of Israel, are never separated from God's presence. The Book of Jasher portrays Moses not only as a prophet and leader, but as a warrior, guided by supernatural forces. Jasher provides additional context to the well-known story of Moses confronting Pharaoh, detailing how God's angels assist Moses in his struggle against the forces of Egypt. Pharaoh's court, renowned for its sorcery and pagan power, becomes a battleground where the forces of heaven and hell are in direct conflict. In Jasher, the battle intensifies as Moses performs miracles that challenge Pharaoh's magicians. In Jasher 7:9-5, we learn, "And the Lord sent an angel to strengthen Moses in his heart, that he feared not." This divine reinforcement reveals the significance of Moses' role as the instrument of God's justice. The angels serve as both protectors and catalysts for Moses' mission, symbolizing God's direct involvement in freeing his people. In addition, Jasher describes angelic intervention during the plagues, where God's angels carry out his judgment on Egypt's idols and its people, revealing his supreme power over their false gods. This intervention is a forceful reminder of God's authority, with the angels acting as his agents of justice. Jasher uses this narrative to teach that God's justice is not only swift but is also executed through divine beings who ensure that his decrees are fulfilled with power and precision. The Book of Jasher provides powerful additions to the story of Joshua's conquest of Canaan, showing how God sends his angels to intervene in the battles fought by Israel. When Joshua and his forces enter into seemingly insurmountable wars against the fortified cities of Canaan, Jasher records instances where angels enter the fray, turning the tide in Israel's favor. Jasher's account of the Battle of Jericho, for instance, includes descriptions of angelic forces weakening the city's defenses, ensuring Israel's victory. During the famous moment when Joshua asks God to make the sun stand still, Jasher again introduces the presence of angels, suggesting that they play a role in controlling celestial events and executing God's command to ensure Israel's victory. In Jasher 8,863, we read, "And the Lord hearkened to the voice of Joshua, and the angels commanded the sun to stand still over Gibeon." Here, angels operate on both a cosmic and earthly level, showing that their influence extends over both time and nature through these stories. Jasher reinforces the concept that Israel's victories are not merely due to human strength or strategy, but to divine support. The angels appear as warrior allies, reinforcing the message that God fights for his people, sending his messengers to secure victory and protect his chosen ones. In these narratives, the Book of Jasher presents a compelling theology of divine intervention, portraying angels as active participants in the unfolding of God's plan. Whether guiding, protecting, or executing judgment, angels in Jasher are intimately involved in human affairs, affirming that God's hand is always at work. Through the stories of Abraham, Jacob, Moses, and Joshua, Jasher teaches that faith in God includes trust in his unseen forces. Angels serve as a testament to God's power, reassuring the faithful that they are never alone in their battles. Jasher's account also reinforces a key theme. God does not abandon his people to face impossible challenges on their own. In the spiritual and physical realms alike, he sends his messengers to assist, whether by guiding them in times of confusion, protecting them in times of danger, or fighting for them in times of war. Through the Book of Jasher, we are reminded that divine intervention is not just a past event. It is an ongoing reality, one that continues to guide, protect, and strengthen those who walk in faith. Prophecy in Jasher often appears in the form of blessings and predictions that shape the destinies of entire tribes and nations. For instance, the Book of Jasher provides a prophetic layer to the story of Abraham and Isaac, illustrating how their lives would influence future generations. Before his death, Abraham speaks words over Isaac, blessing him with promises that foretell the rise of a great nation and a powerful lineage. In Jasher 26:18, Abraham declares, "Your seed shall become a multitude of nations, and through them all the earth shall be blessed." This prophecy about Isaac echoes God's covenant with Abraham, establishing a foundation for Israel's role in history. Jasher uses this moment to reinforce the idea that the lives of the patriarchs are part of a divine chain of events that spans generations, all through prophetic blessings. The Book of Jasher emphasizes that God's promises are fulfilled not only in the immediate but also in the far future, extending his blessings across time and securing a legacy for those who follow his will. Isaac, too, carries on this tradition when he blesses his sons, Jacob and Esau. Jasher goes deeper into Isaac's anguish as he realizes that Esau's path will diverge from the righteous lineage. Jasher's version intensifies the contrast between Jacob, the chosen son, and Esau, whose descendants would become adversaries to Israel. Through these blessings and curses, the Book of Jasher foreshadows the future struggles between Israel and Edom, reminding readers that every choice, every blessing, and every act of disobedience carries repercussions that ripple through history. The prophetic nature of Joseph's dreams is another striking example in Jasher, underscoring his unique connection to God's plans. The dreams that Joseph shares with his family, depicting sheaves and celestial bodies bowing before him, are well known from Genesis. However, in Jasher, these dreams are presented with a greater sense of divine mystery, hinting not only at Joseph's future rise to power, but also at the preservation of Israel itself. In Jasher 3:7-1011, Joseph is described as experiencing vivid, unsettling dreams that he knows are a message from God. Though his brothers scoff, Joseph's father, Jacob, senses the weight of these visions. Jasher's retelling emphasizes that Joseph's rise to power is not for personal glory, but as part of a divine plan to protect Israel from future famine. The dreams serve as prophetic assurances, guiding Joseph to endure betrayal and suffering with the knowledge that his life is part of a larger destiny. Through Joseph's journey, the Book of Jasher illustrates a central theme that God's plans often take shape in unexpected ways, using adversity to prepare his chosen servants. Joseph's story reminds readers that prophecy does not always bring immediate reward. Instead, it can lead through trials that ultimately fulfill God's promises. Jasher uses Joseph's dreams to encourage readers to trust in divine timing even when God's purpose is hidden. One of the most powerful prophetic moments in the Book of Jasher occurs when Moses receives a vision of Israel's future while he is still in Pharaoh's court. Jasher recounts how Moses, even before he encounters God at the burning bush, experiences a prophetic insight that reveals the suffering and eventual liberation of the Israelites. In Jasher 7:13, Moses is described as feeling a profound sorrow for his people, and he foresees the hardships they will endure under Pharaoh's oppression. This prophecy foreshadows not only the plagues of Egypt, but also Israel's prolonged struggle in the wilderness and the challenges they will face in establishing themselves as a nation. Moses' vision is a moment of awakening, strengthening his resolve to align himself with God's people rather than with the comforts of Pharaoh's palace. In Jasher's account, this vision serves as a foreshadowing of both the Exodus and the hardships that will test Israel's faith after their escape from Egypt. Moses' prophetic vision also conveys a deeper message about leadership and sacrifice. Jasher suggests that to be chosen by God often requires abandoning personal comfort for a higher calling. Moses' foresight becomes a burden he must bear, as he sees not only Israel's immediate future, but also the moral and spiritual battles that lie ahead. Jasher's narrative emphasizes that those chosen to lead God's people are often given glimpses of future trials, enabling them to prepare for the sacrifices and challenges that their role entails. The Book of Jasher also includes apocalyptic elements that anticipate future conflicts between Israel and its adversaries. In these prophecies, the struggles of the patriarchs and the rise of Israel are framed within a broader cosmic conflict. For example, Jasher's account of Esau and his descendants, the Edomites, presents a foreshadowing of future enmity. In Jasher 5736, Esau's hostility toward Jacob is described as setting the stage for an enduring struggle between their seed, which shall come to pass in the days to come. This ongoing conflict is portrayed as more than a territorial or familial dispute. It becomes a symbolic struggle between good and evil, foreshadowing Israel's future confrontations with empires and nations that would oppose them. Jasher frames these conflicts as part of an apocalyptic timeline, suggesting that Israel's destiny is intertwined with a battle for spiritual and moral integrity. This apocalyptic theme aligns with later prophetic texts, like those in Daniel and Revelation, which depict the forces of darkness rising against God's chosen people in the last days. The Book of Jasher's apocalyptic undertones remind readers that the journey of faith is not just a personal quest, but part of a larger cosmic struggle. By portraying Israel's enemies as representatives of rebellion and spiritual opposition, Jasher calls believers to understand their lives within a prophetic framework. This perspective encourages readers to see their own trials as part of a larger battle that has both earthly and heavenly dimensions. Ultimately, the Book of Jasher uses these prophetic and apocalyptic themes to teach profound lessons about faith, resilience, and the power of divine promises. Prophecies in Jasher are not meant merely to foretell the future, but to encourage steadfastness in the present. Just as Abraham, Joseph, and Moses endured trials with faith in God's promises, Jasher calls readers to trust in God's ultimate plan, even when facing hardship and uncertainty. In Jasher, prophecy is shown as both a gift and a responsibility. The book suggests that those who receive prophetic insight are often called to endure greater challenges, bearing witness to God's unfolding plan. This message resonates throughout the stories of the patriarchs, who each face personal sacrifices to fulfill their divine purpose. Jasher teaches that prophecy is not a guarantee of an easy path. Rather, it's a call to walk faithfully, trusting that God's promises will be fulfilled in His perfect timing. Jasher's apocalyptic themes also serve as reminders that, though God's people may face opposition, their destiny is secure in His hands. By framing Israel's struggles within a prophetic context, Jasher encourages readers to view their own lives as part of a larger spiritual battle, one that will ultimately culminate in God's victory. The Book of Jasher thus becomes not only a record of the past, but a guide for living with courage, patience, and unwavering faith in God's eternal plan. Integrity is a foundational value in Jasher's teachings, underscoring the importance of remaining true to God's commandments regardless of circumstances. Figures like Abraham, Joseph, and Moses demonstrate what it means to live with unwavering faith, even when confronted with trials that would lead many to compromise. Abraham, for instance, refuses to bow to idols, even though doing so could mean life or death. His resolute faith is rooted in a profound belief in the one true God, and Jasher presents this as an example of absolute integrity. In Jasher 1242, Abraham declares, "I will not bow down, for there is only one true God, and Him alone shall I serve." Joseph's story, likewise, is a testament to integrity. Betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and falsely accused, Joseph has every reason to become bitter or vengeful. Instead, he clings to his faith, rejecting sin and trusting in God's greater plan. Jasher illustrates this inner strength as the reason behind his rise to power in Egypt. Despite his trials, Joseph lives with a clear conscience, demonstrating that true integrity is unshaken by external circumstances. Through these stories, Jasher teaches that a life of faith requires an uncompromising commitment to righteousness. Integrity, the book suggests, is not only a personal virtue but a public witness to the power of God. The examples of Abraham and Joseph show that even in the face of betrayal or persecution, a person who walks in integrity is protected and blessed by God. Humility is another key theme in the Book of Jasher, depicted as the cornerstone of true greatness. Jasher contrasts figures who embrace humility with those who are corrupted by pride, showing that humility opens the door to divine favor while arrogance invites downfall. For example, Moses' rise as a leader of Israel is characterized by profound humility. In Jasher, Moses is portrayed as initially reluctant to lead, feeling unworthy of the task. His humility is what qualifies him for God's calling, demonstrating that true leadership requires a willingness to serve rather than be exalted. In Jasher 73:18, God reassures Moses, saying, "Fear not, for I am with you, and it is not by your strength, but by my power that Israel shall be redeemed." This moment underscores that Moses' humility is his strength. Unlike Pharaoh, who rules with cruelty and arrogance, Moses leads with compassion and a servant's heart. Jasher's depiction of Moses teaches that greatness in God's kingdom is not measured by power or status, but by the ability to serve others with a humble spirit. Jasher also illustrates humility through the character of David, who, despite his future role as king, begins his life as a humble shepherd. David's reverence for God and respect for authority, particularly his reluctance to harm King Saul despite Saul's hostility, are presented as markers of his humility. In these stories, Jasher calls on readers to recognize that God exalts the humble and brings low the proud, reminding us that humility is the foundation of lasting honor. The Book of Jasher emphasizes the importance of compassion and justice, especially toward those who are vulnerable or oppressed. Time and again, Jasher's heroes demonstrate care for the weak, the poor, and the marginalized, aligning their actions with the heart of God. Compassion is shown to be more than an individual virtue. It is a societal obligation, a principle by which communities must live if they are to reflect God's character. For example, Abraham is shown to be a compassionate leader, known for his kindness towards strangers and his fairness in dealing with others. In Jasher 22:15 we read, "And Abraham would open his door to the traveler, giving bread to the hungry and water to the thirsty, for his heart was kind." This portrayal emphasizes that Abraham's greatness was not only in his faith, but in his compassion for all people, making him a beacon of God's love to those around him. Similarly, Joseph, as ruler of Egypt, exemplifies justice by ensuring that all who come to him during the famine are treated fairly, regardless of their nationality. This commitment to justice is particularly evident when Joseph arranges for his family's survival, using his authority to protect and provide for them. In Jasher, Joseph's compassionate rulership is a direct contrast to the selfish ambitions of others, showing that true leadership seeks the welfare of all, not personal gain. These stories teach that justice is inseparable from compassion. Jasher presents a vision of godly society where the vulnerable are protected, the oppressed are defended, and mercy is extended to all. This theme echoes throughout the book, challenging readers to live with empathy and to act justly in their own communities. Resilience in the face of adversity is another virtue highly regarded in Jasher, exemplified by figures who endure suffering without losing faith. The stories of Joseph and Moses, in particular, highlight this theme, showing that resilience is born out of trust in God's purposes. When Joseph faces betrayal and imprisonment, his response is one of endurance, choosing to honor God despite his circumstances. Jasher 42:28 captures this strength, as Joseph says, "Though I am cast down, I know that the Lord shall raise me up, for his plans are good." Moses, too, demonstrates resilience, particularly during the long and challenging journey through the wilderness. He faces opposition not only from external enemies but from within his own people, who often doubt or rebel. Yet Moses persists, holding on to the vision of the promised land and trusting in God's promises. Jasher's portrayal of Moses encourages readers to persevere in the face of obstacles, emphasizing that faith requires strength and patience over time. Through these examples, Jasher shows that resilience is essential for anyone pursuing a life of faith. It teaches that trials are not only tests of strength, but opportunities to grow deeper in trust and dependence on God. By presenting resilience as a key virtue, Jasher offers hope to those who may feel burdened by challenges, reminding them that God is with those who endure. Jasher also underscores the theme of moral accountability, teaching that every action has consequences. Through figures like Cain, Nimrod, and Esau, the book illustrates the destructive power of disobedience and selfish ambition. Jasher 27.1 describes the fate of Nimrod, who in his pride attempts to challenge God's authority, leading to his downfall. Nimrod's heart grew proud, and he said, "I shall make my own kingdom, and no other shall rule over me," but the Lord brought him low. This emphasis on moral accountability is not merely punitive, it serves as a warning and a call to repentance. Jasher's stories remind readers that God's laws are not arbitrary, but are meant to protect and guide his people. Disobedience, therefore, is not only a rebellion against God, but a self-destructive path that leads to ruin. By emphasizing accountability, Jasher reinforces the importance of living with a sense of responsibility to God, oneself, and others. Jasher's moral teachings resonate with timeless principles, urging readers to live lives marked by integrity, humility, compassion, resilience, and accountability. In these stories, we find a vision of righteous living that challenges us to reflect on our own lives, calling us to pursue a deeper alignment with God's character. Through the virtues exemplified by its heroes, the Book of Jasher invites us to strive toward a life of faith guided by principles that transcend time and circumstance. As we close this exploration of Jasher, consider how these ancient lessons might apply in your life today. Are there areas where you are called to stand up with integrity, show compassion, or act courageously for your faith? Reflect on how these stories have inspired you, and if they have, share this video with others. Together we can spread this profound wisdom, drawing from the stories of old, to strengthen our faith in the present. In the depths of the Book of Jasher, we uncover more than just stories. We find lessons that challenge us to look at our own lives through the lens of courage, resilience, and faith. This ancient text, long overlooked and dismissed, brings forward the humanity and struggles of figures we thought we knew. Through the daring acts of Abraham, the resilience of Joseph, and the powerful leadership of Moses, Jasher offers us a richer view of their journeys, showing us not only their victories but their moments of fear, doubt, and inner conflict. Yet the question lingers, why was this book left out of the Bible? Could it be that Jasher reveals too much of their humanity, a side that might push us to confront our own flaws and struggles with greater honesty? Or is it simply an alternate perspective on the lives of these heroes, one that provides insights into the intense spiritual trials they faced in their obedience to God? As we explore Jasher, we're reminded that the path of faith is far from simple. It's a journey marked by choices, battles, and unshakable resolve. This book's hidden stories invite us to reflect on our own paths, challenging us to face life's struggles with the same courage and resilience shown by these ancient figures. The timeless themes of faith, humility, compassion, and divine justice that run through Jasher call us to live with greater integrity, reminding us that the journey of faith is as much about overcoming our own trials as it is about seeking a higher purpose. In the end, the Book of Jasher serves as more than just a historical curiosity. It's an invitation to see the heroes of faith as real, relatable figures whose experiences echo in our own lives. Through their stories, we learn that true greatness lies in standing firm in our faith, facing adversity with strength, and walking humbly with God. As we close, we are left with this thought: perhaps the lessons of Jasher are not just ancient tales but timeless truths, calling us to courage, faith, and a life that reflects the very heart of God.